Today's an exciting day. I'm taking out my old switch controller and upgrading to the new Garmin PowerSwitch. A few weeks ago, I upgraded the head unit in my 2019 Toyota 4Runner to one that's compatible with Apple CarPlay. Now I'm going to go ahead and install a Garmin PowerSwitch that'll connect to that head unit through Bluetooth. This will allow me to control all my lights, accessories like my refrigerator and compressor right from my dash. I've been really looking forward to this project. I hope you stick around and check it out. Here's what I'm going to be upgrading today. So this is what I currently had installed in my truck. This is a Trigger 6-shooter. This is a Bluetooth control panel, so you don't have to run wires through the firewall into different switches. You can control everything right from your phone, or they do send along this radio control switch panel. You know, I've had this for about 2 years. They haven't upgraded the app that you run off of your phone, and it's pretty glitchy. And this switch panel, being radio controlled, takes batteries, and I live in Minnesota. Anything below freezing, this stops working and the batteries basically become shot. So the switch panel itself too, not very impressed with the quality of it. Hoping they would have come out with some upgrades, but I haven't seen anything over the last 2 years. So I'm going to be moving on to the Garmin PowerSwitch. Now this thing's also Bluetooth, but the thing I love about this is I recently upgraded my head unit in my 4Runner, and now I have Apple CarPlay. So this is Bluetooth, and the app itself is Apple CarPlay friendly. So I can control everything right from my dash. I went ahead and repurposed this tray from the Trigger 6-shooter. This was actually one that I bought that they sell. And I just drilled some new holes in it, kind of sprayed it with some truck bed liner, and now I'm going to repurpose that for the Garmin PowerSwitch. And then with this installation, I'll also need to be installing this 100 amp bus bar. All right, I'm gonna get started. Okay, I have everything mounted to the tray. This is ready to install in the vehicle. So what I like about the way that I did this is I'm giving room for all the wires. 3 wires can go in this side for your positive to these 3 switches, and then 3 wires can come and go on this side as well. And then I have the bus bar here for all my negative wires, and they can all run out this side. I've seen other kits that you can buy, and I just feel like everything seems very tight and the wires are going to be kind of running on top of each other. So I really like the way that I have this set up. It's going to keep everything clean and organized. Okay, so now that we're under the hood, we're going to be mounting this tray right here on the side of the vehicle. There's already these pre-tapped holes that we're going to be leveraging to just lock this in place. I'm going to be using some Loctite here on these bolts just to make sure nothing works its way back out again. All right, there you have it. All right, this is in, looking great, nice and sturdy. So we're going to go ahead now and start wiring up the actual power for the switch itself, as well as the negative for the bus bar. All right, now that we're ready to install the power switch into the vehicle, I'm just gonna run through the positive and negative cables that came along with the kit. So this is our 4-gauge positive wire that's gonna be running from the Garmin PowerSwitch to the battery. It comes with an inline 125 amp fuse. I'm not going to be using this. I have a different fuse set up in my truck. So I actually went ahead and ordered on Amazon some 4-gauge wire that's cut to length that already has the terminal connectors installed on them. So I have a positive cable. I believe this is about 3 feet of cable. I have a negative cable here, also 4-gauge, that will be going to the bus bar. And this is about 2 feet in length. And then this cable this wire is also part of the Garmin PowerSwitch kit. And this is what's going to be running from the Garmin PowerSwitch to the car's battery. I just went ahead and added some wire loom on here as well, as you can see, just to keep it nice and safe. So if there's any rubbing that's happening on the wires, I'm not damaging the coating of the wires. So now that I have all this ready, we're going to move over to the car and get this installed. All right, so first I'm going to take the negative terminal off. And then I'm just going to put this towel over here just to keep it from touching the battery. Okay, so the whole system is now dead and we can go ahead and start installing wire. I'm going to start by installing this power cable to the Garmin PowerSwitch. And like I mentioned, I actually have a different fuse setup on my 4Runner. So I went ahead and installed this Blue Sea fuse terminal. So I have a 125 amp fuse here that I'll be connecting into the Garmin PowerSwitch. So that's equal to what comes with the actual kit. And then I have this 40 amp fuse for the main power of my air compressor. So this will just be connecting right into here. And I'll be fishing this around, underneath, and up through here. All right, that has been connected. Now we're going to go ahead and install that thinner ground wire, and this will be running from this area on the power switch all the way over to my negative here. Okay, so with that ground ready to install, I'm actually going to go ahead and get the ground ready for the bus bar as well, because I'll be connecting both of those cables to the same spot on the negative terminal. So this is going to be running from here down and around to here. All right, I have everything hooked up for the Garmin PowerSwitch and the bus bar. So I have the negative going from the bus bar. This is the negative for all my accessories. And then I have the Garmin PowerSwitch. This is where all the positives will be connected. The negative wire for the Garmin PowerSwitch specifically, and as well as the 4-gauge positive wire. That's going all to the battery. These two slots here are actually for if you wanted to hook up to a wire in your car that allows power to be transferred to these when you hit the ignition switch. So you can set up a switch that will turn on automatically when you turn your car on. I'm not going to be leveraging those two for any of my accessories. I've gone ahead and just to test it out, put the negative back on the battery, and I have power to my Garmin PowerSwitch. So I should be able to turn on all the different switches now. All right, so I have a little bit of work to do before I can start hooking up my accessories to the Garmin PowerSwitch. All of my current incoming wires from my accessories, like my light bar, refrigerator, compressor, they all have these male waterproof ends on them. And that's because the Trigger 6-shooter already has these installed right on the unit. So all my incoming wires needed to have these in order to plug into it. The Garmin PowerSwitch just uses regular ring connectors. So I'm going to be cutting off all these connectors, and then I'm going to be lengthening the wire a little bit. And I stumbled across these great heat shrink soldering connectors. So basically just put your two wires together, slide this over the top of it, heat it up with a heat gun, and it'll create a waterproof seal as well as solder the wires together. And there you have it. This is ready to install. All right, so I went ahead and built another harness. This one's for my ditch lights, and I've gone ahead, ran new wire over to the passenger side, kind of measured out how long I need for that, and then this is for the driver's side ditch light, and then I went ahead and spliced them together. So I have the diode dynamic ditch lights with the optional backlight. So I have actually 3 wires coming out of each of the different harnesses. This third wire is for the backlight. So I'm gonna show you how I connect this in a separate video. I'm actually gonna be connecting this to Raptor lights and my backlights and my fog lights as well, and running an actual switch through the firewall onto my dash. So I'm just gonna go ahead and finish up this harness by adding these ring connectors. And then this will be ready to install and hook up my ditch lights to the Garmin PowerSwitch. This wiring harness is ready to go. So this one's going to the passenger side. It's a nice waterproof connection, just plugs right into the back of the ditch lights. This one's going to the driver's side. This red is going to the Garmin PowerSwitch. This will be going to the negative bus bar. And then this extra wire, I'll be adding power to it later in another video. Well, that's it for the install of the Garmin PowerSwitch. Now I'm going to go ahead and start wiring up all my accessories. Okay, so I have all my wires organized here. I have my ditch lights, and these actually have 3 wires because there's a backlight option for the diode dynamic ditch lights I have. So this is what I'm going to be connecting to the Garmin PowerSwitch, and I'm going to be doing something else with this wire next week. I'm going to be hooking my backlights up to my Raptor lights, and those will be powered by a separate switch. So we'll be setting that aside for now. So we'll start with our ditch lights. All right, I have everything wired up under the hood. I'm going to do some wire cleanup here, zip tie some things together, and make sure that everything's in a good place, and then reconnect the power and test it out. Another great feature of the Garmin PowerSwitch, not only can you control all of your accessories right from your phone using the Garmin PowerSwitch app, that app is also Apple CarPlay friendly. So a couple weeks ago I installed this new head unit in the 2019 4Runner. This gives me the ability to run Apple CarPlay. So now, leveraging the Garmin PowerSwitch app, I can control all of my accessories right from my dash, from my light bar to my ditch lights. I can turn my compressor on and off, and also monitor my fridge power. I love the simplicity of this upgrade to my accessory setup. All right, that wraps up the install of the Garmin PowerSwitch. I'll make sure to include links in the comments below of all the different parts I use to complete this installation. Just one more step towards getting this rig ready for the 2024 overlanding season. I'm excited to get some great use out of that. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next time.